All right, good morning, everybody. You have a warm up. I need you to find the average of these two numbers, and then I need you to find the average of these two numbers. You guys know how to find the average? You've been doing that a while, right? So nobody remembers how to take an average. Is that what I'm seeing? Nobody knows how to add up two numbers and divide by two? Come on now. Oh, it's going to be a long class now, people. Come on now. Add up these two numbers and then divide by two. Okay, finally getting some getting some answers in the chat. Yes, please put it in the private chat, please. All right. So, just so people know, when you're taking the average of numbers, you add up all the numbers and then you divide it by however many there are. So, 1 plus 21 divided by 2. And -3 plus 16 divided by 2 is 13 divided by 2, which is 6.5. Okay, today we're going to be doing a lot of averaging of numbers. Okay, so we need to be able to average two numbers without a heck of a lot of problem. Okay, make sure you have a calculator in front of you. All right, so that you can add things up and not get messed up with positives and negatives. Okay. So let's try this one more time. Well, hold on, let's just do this. Do those, please. Okay. So -5 plus 17 all over 2 is 12 over 2, which is 6. 2.4 plus 5.2 is equal to 7.6, which is equal to 3.8. -8 plus -1 over 2 is -9 over 2, which is -4.5. All right. So let's think about a number line. And I'm just going to take this out to 7. All right. So if I wanted to find the average of 1 and 7, go ahead and find me the average between 1 and 7. Okay, good. A lot of people are telling me it's 4. And that's good. And so now take a look at that arrow on that number line. And you got these 2 points and you got that arrow. What do you notice about that arrow and those 2 red dots? Somebody say it out loud.
4 is in the middle.
Okay. So if I think about this segment, 4 is right in the middle. Okay, 4, this is the midpoint of this segment, because this distance and this distance are the same distance. See, this is 1, 2, 3, and this is 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and it's the same distance on both sides. If I had done this with a different number line, and say I had -10 and let's say 6, I'd probably have a 0 right about here. What is the midpoint of this segment?
-2.
Okay. Because -10 plus 6 all over 2 is -4 over 2, which is -2. And that distance between the midpoint and -10 is the same distance as this midpoint to that endpoint. Okay, so when we have segments that we know are equal in length, they're equal in size, we put little tick marks on them. Okay, that little tick mark, that's what that's called. That's called a tick mark. And it means that those things with tick marks are congruent. Congruent means the same size and shape. Okay. Congruent is kind of like the idea of equals, but equals we use with numbers, and congruent we use with shapes. Okay. So I just kind of want to like put that out there because we haven't talked about this word yet. Equal we use with numbers. And we all know what the equal sign looks like. Okay. Whereas congruent, and we're going to be using this word all the time in this class, we use with shapes. Or let's just say objects, you know, that kind of a thing, shapes, or let's just call them, you know, and we use, it's an equal sign, but it's got that little squiggly line over top of it. So we, you know, this segment from here to there is an object. It's a thing, you know, it's not a number. It's a thing. It's a piece of a line segment, you know, and it is the same as this length. It is the same as this object. They are the same objects, just two of the same kind. Okay. So I just want to make sure that you understand that congruent and equal kind of talk about the same idea. But one of them is in equals because it works with numbers, and the other one works with things like, you know, a triangle can be congruent to another triangle. A square can be congruent to another square. You know, we wouldn't say that a triangle is equal to another triangle. That doesn't really make sense. You know, we can say that their areas are equal. You know, the area of a triangle is a number, and two triangles can have the same area. Does that make sense?
Do we write this down?
If I'm writing it down, you write it down. So just before we go any further, I want to make sure that everybody knows what congruent is and what it means. Just give me a go into your participants, open up your participants, and give me the hands up. Raise your hand if you know the difference between equals and congruent, and it makes sense when to use them. When are you going to use equals versus when are you going to use congruent? Okay. Remember, this idea of a tick mark means that they're congruent. Okay. And, you know, since we're talking about this, you know, we might have a diagram, or we might have two diagrams like this, and we want to say that these two are the same with the tick marks. Okay. But these two are the same to each other, right? You know, these are both the same size. But if I put a single tick mark on this, I would be wrong, because this tick there, that would be me saying that this thing is the same as this thing, and they're not, right? This thing and this thing are the same. This is this, and this is this, but this is not that. So what we do is we put two tick marks to say that the things with two tick marks are equal in length, and these two are equal in length. These are congruent to each other, and these two are congruent to each other. Okay. All right. Because we're going to be doing that tick marks and using that word congruent a lot. Okay. So I just want to, like, here, I'll give you a quick example. So if we had this diagram with all these tick marks, who are congruent to each other?
H and U and E and F.
Yeah, HG is congruent to EF. That's how you would say it. Segment, and I know it's a segment because of the little line over top of it. Segment HG is congruent to segment EF. This thing and this thing are equal in length. You know, they might all look the same, but just because they look the same doesn't mean that they are the same. Okay. They could be a little bit more or a little bit less. Okay. All right. Just want to make sure we're good with the symbols. Okay. Good with the symbols? Okay. All right. So let's get back to midpoints. Now, if I had so we dealt with it on the number line. Now, if we were dealing with a pair of coordinates, okay? So we use the midpoint formula. So if I had 2 points, let's say they are -2 and 10 and 8 and 2, okay? I've got X's and I got Y's. 2 and 2. Now, if going back a minute ago, you know, we had like numbers like this, -2 and 8, and we used the number line to find the middle, right? Well, that's exactly what we do with the midpoint formula. We want to find the average of the X's and then the average of the Y's. That's really what it's all about. We take the X's and we average them, and then we take the Y's and we average them. And here's how you would do it. We take the X's, -2 and 8, and we average them. And then we take the Y's and we average them. And of course, we clean it up and simplify it, right? So -2 and 8 make 6. 10 and 2 make 12. And then we simplify it. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 12 divided by 2 is 6. And that is your midpoint. So that's why we were talking about averages this morning, is because all that we do with midpoint is do the average. You average the X's and you average the Y's. I'll wait for everyone to copy this down, and then we're going to do some more examples. So if you wanted to write down the actual formula, x1 plus x2, and you divide by 2. y1 plus y2, and you divide by 2. That is the midpoint formula. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our two x's, add them up, and divide by 2. And then we take our two y's, add them up, and divide by 2. So 5 plus 11, 16. And 2 plus a -4 is the same as saying 2 minus 4, which is -2. And then you divide. Sometimes you're going to get a number with a decimal answer. That's not a problem. You'll leave it as a decimal. So something like so we take our x's and we take our y's, get 11 and 5. And now this doesn't reduce, but that's okay. Just divide it. And 2.5. Okay, you ready to try one on your own? All right. Oh, sorry. Shouldn't be N there. It's just supposed to be a comma. Excuse me. I don't know what I was thinking there. Not enough coffee this morning, maybe. Go ahead and do this one on your own, guys, and put the answer in the private chat. Make sure you put your answer in the right form. I need parentheses. Without parentheses, it means something else. Guys, it has to look like that. It's got to have parentheses and a comma, okay? If you don't have parentheses and a comma, it's wrong. I've got 2 answers in the chat right now. Come on, guys. This is what you're going to be doing all day. So add them up and divide by 2. Okay, some of you guys are still forgetting about your parentheses and commas, but okay, watch your too many parentheses on that one, I think. Watch your negative signs. Don't drop a negative. A couple of you guys dropped a negative sign. Okay. Careful. Watch your handwriting. Take your time. Use some space. Don't cram it all together into a tiny little space. You'll make errors. Okay. All right, let's keep practicing. Find the midpoint. Okay, now you got some good answers coming in. Okay. And that's it. Okay. Okay. Let's make it a hard one here. Let's make a tough one. Midpoint. And let's do 8.4. It's an ugly looking 8, but better, but still ugly. Okay, I think I know what some of you are doing. Hold on. Okay. A lot of you guys are getting it right, but some of you guys are mixing X's and Y's together. You're taking these numbers and you're putting them together, and you're taking these numbers and you're putting them together. These don't mix, guys. X's and Y's don't ever communicate. Okay, they're independent of each other. They just sit next to each other. Okay, you're not going to ever combine these guys together. No, it never happens. All right, X's go with X's. And Y's go with Y's. So that's 1.1. And that's 8.6. And this is 0.55. And that's 4.3. Okay. All right, let's try some more. Well, let's go and look at what happens on a grid. Now, by the way, I put this up on my Canvas page. You don't have to print it out if you don't want to. I mean, if you don't have a printer, that's fine. But you should at least follow along with me, okay? So if I wanted to find the midpoint of, say, those 2 points, you could, on a graph, find the coordinate for that point and find the coordinate for that point and then use the formula. So what is this guy's coordinate? Somebody just unmute and tell me.
What was the question?
What is this coordinate? All coordinates are in parentheses, right? With a comma between them.
1.
Is that
Is it 2 and 3?
2, 3? Yeah. And what's that coordinate?
8, 1.
And you could use the formula now to find those two coordinates, to find the midpoint. Go ahead and do that. Okay, I'm getting some good answers. Lots of good answers. So far, all those are good. Okay. Now, a lot of people were telling me it's at 5, 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 5, 2 is right there. And if we look at it on the graph, it's right in the middle. And you can kind of see, you know, we've got that same idea of, you know, when we were doing slope, right? All right. Now, if you had points that were in a straight line, now these are really, really easy to do. These don't even really require any math, okay? If you had a segment that wasn't on a diagonal or anything like that, but it was just straight up, you know, left or right, or in, you know, straight up or down, okay, horizontal or vertical, then these are so easy, it's not even funny, okay? Like all you have to do is count. You know, you don't even have to really do any math. So what you do is, you know, you can just look at this and say, well, how big is it? Well, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This thing is 8 units long, right? And what is half of 8?
4.
Okay, so that means the middle is 4 from the end. 1, 2, 3, 4. There it is, right there. And then you can figure out what its coordinates are without doing any math, really. You know, you say, well, how big is it? Well, it's 8. Well, that means that the middle is 4, right? You know, if you buy a dozen eggs, how many eggs are in a dozen?
12.
12.
Okay, so if somebody says, I want half a dozen, all you do is you just divide by 2, and you get
6.
right. Okay, you don't have to do any fancy math. You just cut it in half. Okay, and the same thing goes on in here, right? So how big is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's 5 units long. Well, cut it in half. How big is that?
2.5.
So we're going to go 1, 2 and a half. That's all you got. Now, and then once you put the dot down, then you can say, well, that's at 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 9 and a half. You see? So if you're dealing with a graph, you know, you can find the coordinates and then figure out what the point is. Okay. Or if you're really feeling strong, you just want to try it, think of this. Even if you don't have a grid to worry about, let's do something like that. If you had to find the midpoint of this thing, okay, take a look. Kind of like how we found slope. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's like -3. So this, what's the slope of this segment, by the way? Guys, you just spent 2 days working on slope.
$2.5.
Ooh, no, hold on, time out, girl. I need a slope. Rise over run.
-3, 8.
Yeah, -3/8. So what's half of 3?
1.5.
Okay, so I'll go down 1.5. And what's half of 8?
4.
4.
1, 2, 3, 4. And if I follow those, there's your middle. And if we look at it, you can see it's halfway to both sides. Okay, so you can do it just from looking at the picture, same kind of way you would do slope. Half of the rise and half of the run will put you right in the middle, even if that's a decimal. In this case, it'd be something 0.5, wouldn't it? Okay. So, messed up that paper pretty good. She's the back. All right, so going back to the very beginning. Okay, go ahead and take a second and copy that one down. All right. And the question might be, and I could say, so what is the midpoint of segment going from B all the way to D? So what we're looking for is we're looking for the point that's in the middle of 0 and 4?
2.
Right. And you would just say 2. What about between C and E?
4.5.
Careful, I'm going to take 1 and 7 and average them.
4.
Yeah, 4. Okay. What about A and D?
Is it 2?
1.
Okay. If I'm dealing with A and D, it's -2 plus 4. Which is 2. Okay. And do number 4 without my help and put it in the private chat. Nice. Good answers. Good answers. Lots of good answers. Great. It's 4 and 7, so we take them and average them. And there it is. Okay. So sometimes they'll change the words to make it maybe look a little different, but the idea is the same. So I just want to show you what some instructions might look like that are different than these, okay? Because I've just been asking you, what is the midpoint, right? So what if we had something that it might say something like this? Okay, so what they're talking about is we've got this segment AB, and they're telling you where A is and where B is. So this is the same math. There's nothing new except that maybe the way they wrote it. So I'm just kind of like want to show you what the different instructions might look like. Okay. Okay, so that one's asking the same idea, but they're just calling these points the end points. Okay, and that's, you know, this is an end point. That's a midpoint. And that's an end point. Okay, just so that we all know what it is that we're looking at. Okay. All right. So here's what we got. Go to my Canvas page. Well, first of all, let me ask you this. On a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being you're good, 1 being I don't even know what you're doing, dude. Give me in the private chat how you feel about all this. Be honest. All right. So go to my Canvas page. Oh, snap. I almost forgot. Okay. Who here was going to do a retake with me for the logic?
Me.
Couple people? All right. I messed up. I forgot that Monday was a holiday. So I apologize. I forgot. So retakes are on Wednesday because you don't have school on Wednesday from 10 o'clock in the morning to noon. Because you remember we're doing PSATs on Wednesday. So even though we would normally have class on Wednesday, there are no live classes. Like you don't have any all of you, none of you have live classes on Wednesday. Instead, you're going to be doing like watching videos, making up your homework, doing retakes, all of that. Okay. So you're going to use the office hours link. And you must have finished all of your homework for the logic section. Okay, if you haven't finished all of your logic homework, then you can't take the quiz. Okay, if you need help, guys, find me. I have after school office hours, okay, until 3:30. So please, please, please find me. I'm there every day. All right, today included. Okay, so go to my Canvas page. I'll go ahead and share so that we can see what we're looking at. And so there are 2 announcements in there that we have the one on midpoints where your homework is, and this is the graph paper. I just gave it to you in case you wanted it. Somebody in the other class asked me for that graph paper, so I wanted to give it to everybody in case you wanted it. But you're going to find your homework on this page, coordinate day 3, and you're going to go ahead and download it and take a look at it. So if we take a look at that homework, the first 6 questions are just like what we did a minute ago. And 7, 8, 9, 10, and 12 are all the same idea. So is 13. We got to do 14 really quickly. Let me show you what to do with a question like number 14. Okay. So it's kind of like number 14. It's not the exact problem. Okay, so you would do like you've always done. You take your x's and you put them together. You add them up. And you take your y's and you add them up. It's like combining like terms. So 8 and -2 make 6. 5 and -3 make 2. And now we just divide. And that's how you would do number 14. But number 14's got different numbers, but it's the same kind of idea where you've got variables in there. That's not a problem. You just combine like terms and then you divide. So we've still got about 10 minutes. So please work on this assignment, and I will ask you a exit slip question at the end of class.
Mr. Runko,
Yes.
I have a question about the last homework.
Yes.
So, question number 15.
Let me pull up the file. 1 second.
Okay. Okay.
Mr. Ronco, we have to do number question 14 to leave.
No. You have to do the worksheet.
Oh, like what, the one that you just put?
No. I just did one that was kind of like number 14 because number 14 was different. So
Oh,
just
okay.
make sure everybody knows what it kind of looks like. Day 2. Okay. Was it Omnia? Do you have a question?
Yes, Omnia.
Yeah.
So, question number 15, I didn't get
Yeah,
I didn't get
15
the
you
answer.
didn't have to do. 15. I'll show you how to do that though.
Okay.
So, and the slope is -3. So -2 minus k, 1 minus 0. That's the slope formula, right?
Yes.
And then that's equal to -3.
Yes.
So -2 minus k all over 1. -2 minus k is equal to -3. And then you solve for k. So -2, I'm going to bring the 3 over, make it positive. Bring the k over, make it positive. K is equal to 1.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, so let's take a look at these, make sure that we're good. So we're looking for E and K. So E and K. So K is right in between 0 and 1. So this is 1/2. And E is right in between -2 and -3. So it's at -2.5. So we're going to take those two and we're going to average them up. Go ahead and do that average between those two numbers. All right, you guys are ready to leave if you've given me the right answer. You with me today, Allison?